Hey, and welcome into the Washington Redskins 7-round mock draft. Today we're going to be doing the next episode of the series. As yesterday we did the Cincinnati Bengals. If you missed that video, be sure to go check it out. But today we're going to be doing the Redskins, who own the second overall selection in this year's draft. Obviously, the season last year did not go as according to plan, and they've done a lot of different changes on the team. Got a new head coach in Ron Rivera. We'll be seeing if their draft is going to help them tremendously next year, and we'll see how they go. So with the first pick that they have in the first round, pick number 2, I have them selecting edge rusher Chase Young out of Ohio State. Now, is this the biggest need for the team? Absolutely not. They traded into the first round, which is why they don't have a second-round pick this year, to get Montez Sweat last season, and he had a very good rookie year for them. It's just the problem of Chase Young is too good to pass up. This is a spot where maybe they trade down a few picks to go to Miami's pick. Maybe they trade one pick down. There's very different things they can do, but I think if you're sitting there at 2, there's no way you're passing up on Chase Young. He's been a beast for the last 3 seasons at Ohio State, but this last season was absolutely tremendous. 16.5 sacks, 21 tackles for loss. If Joe Burrow didn't have the season he did, Chase Young would be the number 1 overall selection, and I don't think anybody would be questioning that. He's one of the best pass rushing prospects I've seen in such a long time, and I think that he's going to be a beast wherever he lands. It's unfortunate that the Giants won their last game against the Redskins because that was kind of telling who was going to be the second overall pick. But Chase Young is going to be a beast in this league for a long time, and I think Washington fans should be very happy they're getting him at pick 2. Now, going into the third round, I have him selecting I'm going to go Van Jefferson, the wide receiver out of Florida. Now, before anybody gets up in their panties about the pick, remember this. If you haven't noticed before, if you're new to the channel, I have a full 7-round mock draft that I completed to where I have every team drafted on one spreadsheet throughout all 270 whatever picks there are. So if you're like, oh, why don't we get this guy? Well, he might have already been selected as well, so we got to take that into account. And at this point in time, as much as offensive tackle I think is a need for the team, I think that you can get that in a later round, because if you'd be reaching for the same prospect that you get into maybe the next round at this spot, because in reality there's not many good tackles left in the third round. Most of them went first and second round. Anyway, getting on over to Van Jefferson, I'm going to keep mispronouncing it no matter which way I go. 6'2", 197 out of Florida. He played with Ole Miss for 3 seasons and Florida with 2 seasons. And at Florida, he's really where he had his best years. He barely amassed 1,000 yards in his 2 seasons with Florida for 6 touchdowns. But I think that this guy has all the talent in the world. I think giving him the opportunities is going to be where he gets it. He's a physical freak. Like I said, he's got a slender build at 197, almost 200 pounds, but 6'2". He's a physical receiver, and I think this is going to be a kind of a pick where it could turn out to what the Redskins did last year with Terry McLaurin, to where he's gotten a lot of press for how good he's been, especially since the offseason. He's kind of been going up on boards, and I think that he's somebody that, with the right coaching, and you definitely have that with Ron Rivera, I think that he's somebody that can do very well at the next level. Receiver's still a need at this point in time for the Redskins. I think at this point, if you're going best available on the board with positions of need, I think Van Jefferson's going to be the guy that they're going to be able to select. Moving on over into the third round, I have Jack Driscoll, the tackle out of Alabama, out of Auburn, going to the Redskins. Now with Trent Williams basically saying, I'm not playing for the Redskins ever again. Trade me, cut me, do whatever you need, but I'm not playing. That's a pretty big hole at tackle to fill. They lost Eric Flowers last season, who did very well for them at guard. If it was possible, they could have moved him out to the tackle position, which I wouldn't recommend as a Giants fan. But now that he's in Miami, Trent Williams does not want to play for the team anymore. You need to fill the hole that you're going to have at tackle. And with that first pick being pick number 2, it's possible you trade down, fill those needs, maybe get 2 of Miami's picks to go up. But I think that getting a guy like Jack Driscoll can help out immensely. He probably isn't the guy you want to start right away. It's possible. I think he probably needs some time to develop into a pure tackle at this point in his career, but I think that he's going to be solid. He can line up on left or right. I'd put him on the right, but I think you can transition him over to the left. I think with as much time off as we're going to have, most likely, I think that once he gets drafted, you put him to work, you make him figure out what he is, and your third round pick could end up playing maybe this year, honestly. It's possible. I wouldn't completely recommend it, but when you're getting a tackle in the third round, they're not really expected to be day 1 starters, but I think that getting a guy like Jack Driscoll is going to fill a huge hole for the Redskins once Trent Williams' eventual departure is through. Now we go on over into the second pick that they have in the 4th round, and that is with the tight end Thaddeus Moss the son of obviously the great Randy Moss at 142. Nobody really knows where to rank Thad Moss. He didn't really have too much production. He only played 2 years, one at North Carolina State and one at LSU. He had a pretty solid college playoff run with Joe Burrow and company, and I think that kind of helped boost his rankings. I mean, going into this, there's not many good tight ends. I think Thaddeus Moss has probably the best opportunity to completely blossom going into the NFL. It's an early enter because he really didn't have too much of a college career. But I think that getting a guy like Thaddeus Moss, I mean, you know what his genes are, which is already a huge plus. You know what you're getting because he's a national champion. He helped him out there. I think that this is somebody that you can definitely grow and develop into playing big time, being a starter. I think that he has all the attributes to do that. I think he just needs a little bit of time. I mean, the guy is an absolute animal when he gets some time on the ball. Almost any picture you look up of Thaddeus Moss is going to be him at least stiff-arming somebody or running through them. So he's got the thing. I mean, 6'3", 250. And like I said, I mean, he had 570 yards and 4 touchdowns this year at LSU. So not even a bad season for a tight end. That's pretty much what you're asking for in a college tight end. I think he's got all the tangibles to be good at the next level. He just simply doesn't have the experience, I'd say. So you let him maybe play behind someone for a year, kind of rotate him in and out. And I think that within at least a year's time, Thaddeus Moss will be a starting tight end for the Washington Redskins. Then we go over to the next round, and we're going to be selecting safety Julian Blackmon out of Utah at 162. Blackmon, I have him listed as a safety because that's mostly what he played, but I think he can play anywhere on the defensive backside. And when you're going into the fifth round, fifth round, I don't think there's any 6th-round picks as well for the Redskins. You're kind of looking for guys who most likely won't be starters, but are going to be solid depth to where if someone gets injured, you're going to be able to fill someone in. And with the payday that Landon Collins got last season, and what you're going to have to pay Chase Young, and the contracts are going to start coming. Luckily, the thing you still have, I mean, you still have Alex Smith's contract, which kind of blows, but, Dwayne Haskins, if that's your quarterback, which with this draft, it's pretty much signifying that he's going to be the quarterback. Getting a guy like Julian Blackmon, who can be a depth beast where you don't have to spend free agency at that position, is going to be huge. I think that he can transition into being a solid backup safety, maybe even a fringe starter. I mean, in his last 3 years that he played as a starter at Utah, he has 9 interceptions, which is very good for a guy in a Pac-12 conference. Pac-12 is kind of a weird division where it's a lot of running, more or less. It's a lot of ground and pound. But when you look at it, I mean, he's had a total of 158 tackles. I think he's a solid safety depth position. He'll be used in special teams very well, and that's really what all you're getting for on day 3 is what can we get fortified in depth and what can we get for special teams. Anybody that's doing mock drafts and they're like, oh, we only have 2 receivers, so we need to get a receiver in the 7th round. That's not really where you're going to get those. There's always those diamonds in the rough. And could Julian Blackmon be one of those? Yes, obviously he could, but you're not looking for that. You're looking for some depth. You're looking for some help. I think Julian Blackmon can help you out there. Then we're going over to the 7th round, and we have 2 picks here for the Redskins in the 7th round. I am selecting Patrick Taylor Jr. at pick 216, their first pick of 2 in the 7th round. He was a very good running back at the University of Memphis, and obviously the reason why he's not going to be noted for hugely is because he went to the University of Memphis. On top of that, 1-year player at Memphis. What 1 year was it? Well, over 1,000 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns on the ground, and then he added about 200 yards receiving and another touchdown as well. So over 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns for this guy in his 1 year at Memphis. Absolute great year for him in the American Conference. The reason why he's not going to go anything higher than day 3, probably 7th round, is that lack of production. He only had the 1 year. And on top of that, is the American Conference, the competition's not as hard as other times. Could he be a guy where he becomes a 3rd running back or 4th running back on the depth chart? Yes, definitely. I think that he could earn that at training camp or preseason, wherever and whenever that happens. But getting a guy like Patrick Taylor, you could bring him in. I think that he will either, if not make the team, I think he'll be a good practice squad guy to eventually sign up within time. But running back has been an issue, and injuries have been an issue for the Redskins. Adrian Peterson can't always stay healthy. Darius Geis is rarely ever on the field. Chris Thompson as well. I mean, you have these running backs who are not healthy most of the time, so when one of them goes down with an injury reserve, you can have a guy like Patrick Taylor maybe to step up from that 4th running back spot or come up from the practice squad and provide, I think, solid carries for the Washington Redskins. Then with the last pick for the Washington Redskins, I am selecting offensive tackle Justin Herron out of Wake Forest. Herron is nothing to write home about, but I think that he is a solid guy to where, like I said with the last pick with Patrick Taylor, these are guys that you're going to hope can be depth. And what you're going to need when Trent Williams leaves and with the injuries that happen on this offensive line is depth. Now, Justin Herron might not even make the roster. That's what a lot of 7th-round prospects end up not doing, is making the roster. A lot of people in day 3 in general don't make the rosters. It's a very harsh league. But you get a guy like Justin Herron, you could bring him in, and I think that, at his frame, 6'4", 308 pounds. He's a senior, so he's been playing for multiple years. I think that that's somebody that you really want to bring in, and you want to show, okay, how can I develop this guy into being at least a fringe starter, maybe even just a solid backup? And I think that's something you can do with Justin Herron out of Wake Forest. I think that he's got the build, he's got the stature. He's obviously got a lot to work on, which is why he's a 7th-round prospect. But with the coaching staff that they've accumulated in Washington and the pressing need at offensive line with how injury have plagued the line with Schreff going down and Trent Williams sitting out and being injured as well. It's been a rough few years for this offensive line, not because of their names, because as a group they look very good on paper. It's just staying on the field and the contract situation with Williams. It's all going to be rough. So if you're going to have to replace Williams, why not get 2 guys to at least try to fill the hole, throw something to the wall, see if it sticks. Like I said, 7th-round prospects are kind of hard to mock. You kind of just do whatever with them because most of them aren't even going to make a team. There's probably guys that we don't even know about as prospects that are going to get drafted. That's just how the league goes, and that is going to be it for the Washington Redskins 7th-round mock draft. Of course, if you did enjoy, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and go to the playlist. I'll have it linked in the description. It should come up around now as well. To see the rest of the 7 mock drafts, go check out the Bengals one as well. Let me know which teams you want me to do next. Right now I'm just going in order, but if there's a pressing need for a certain team, I'll get that out right away. We're trying to do these daily, so make sure to check back tomorrow for the next draft. It should be the Detroit Lions. And without further ado, if you did like the video, make sure go leave a like. If you didn't, refresh the page, check it out again, see if you like it a second time. And without further ado, that is going to be it for me. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.